One of the cardinal principles of the rule of law is equality before the law. In simplest terms, it means that everybody is treated equally before the law and everybody is subjected to the same laws of justice. However, is that really the case in Malaysia? Do we really have equality before the law in Malaysia? So make sure you watch this video until the end. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nurul Zahid, a lawyer based in Kuala Lumpur. We are in day 40 plus of the movement control order. I hope all of you are coping well. First and foremost, please join me to give a round of applause to our healthcare workers. It's so encouraging to see the numbers of new cases drop every day. So please, as appreciation to them, drop a like in this video. Maybe one of them will happen to come across this video and watch this video. So today I want to talk about the concept of equality before the law and whether do we really have equality before the law in Malaysia. The reason why I decided to do this topic, it's because lately I have seen a few news that really troubled me, that really made me question, is there really equality before the law in Malaysia? As all of you know, that Malaysia is under MCO, the Movement Control Order, and the government has set out really strict rules on who can leave the house and for what reason somebody can leave the house. And the government has strictly enforced these laws and these regulations, and we can see our senior minister every day updating us on how many people were arrested and prosecuted in court for violating the Movement Control Order. Now, for those who may not know, the MCO regulation is quite straightforward. It basically says that at what situation you can leave the house, what are the conditions if you choose to leave the house, and therefore it's actually quite a simple regulation to enforce. And it is very simple for the police to find out that, you have breached the regulation. For example, you have left the house with a group of people when you're supposed to only leave the house by yourself, and therefore the police can easily summon you in court and ask you to plead whether you're guilty or not. It's a very simple regulation to enforce, and it doesn't really require a lot of investigation, and that is the reason why a lot of people were actually arrested and then brought to court the next day. However, it is precisely this enforcement of this movement control order that made me really question, do we really have equality before the law in Malaysia? But wait, before we talk about the news that got me thinking about today's topic, please, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos from me. Alright, let's get into it. Now the first news is involving Miss Nurul Zahid. If it rings a bell, she is the daughter of the UMNO president, Zahid Hamidi. She uploaded two pictures on her Instagram, this and this, showing her having a meeting with several ministers. When I saw the pictures being viral on Twitter, I was thinking, wait, is that legal? I thought we were not supposed to leave the house except for some specific reasons. Did her visits to these ministers fall under those reasons? It doesn't look like buying groceries. It definitely doesn't look like getting healthcare services. Is it to perform an official duty? Doesn't seem like it as well, because she's not a public officer or a minister or whatever. Is it to provide essential services? Meeting ministers doesn't seem like an essential service. Now at that time, it really got me thinking that I don't think she complied with the MCO, and these actions of many ministers seem like a violation of the MCO. So I was actually waiting for her to issue a statement, or the police to issue a statement on why what she did was not a violation of the movement control order, or why she wasn't arrested and prosecuted in court. And that did not happen, and people on the internet were actually quite angry and quite perplexed on why what she did was not a violation, while all of us cannot leave the house. So then, on the 23rd of April, she uploaded this on her Instagram stories. Ding! Now that Instagram story shows that she's actually out getting groceries with her husband. Now at that time, during phase 3, you're actually not allowed to leave the house to get groceries accompanied by anybody unless it is really necessary, which means that you're not allowed to go out and buy groceries with somebody unless it's necessary that you have that person coming along. So again, that to me sure seems like yet another violation of the movement control order. And this got the internet to start talking again, and people were actually quite angry and quite confused on why was she not being arrested or prosecuted in court for violating the movement control order. Now finally, after a lot of public outcry and a lot of public dissatisfaction, the police issued this statement and says this, that the police will be taking the statement of Nurul Zahid and her husband for the things that they did. Now that got me thinking again, it's strange because most of the cases people were immediately taken to court the next day. So then after that taking of statement, I started waiting, okay, I'm sure she will be charged in court soon for violating the MCO, unless of course she has any good reasons or she can show that she actually has permission from the police to do what she did. Now at the same time, there are three news that is in direct opposite of what has happened to Nurul Zahid, and I put it up here. The first news is this couple who were jailed for 4 days and fined 600 ringgit for a shopping trip. This happened in Sabah. And this is the second news, whereby a couple who were prosecuted and also jailed for trying to get medical services only because they crossed the 10-kilometer radius that was allowed under the MCO. And the third news is this 80-year-old uncle was given a fine of 1,000 ringgit while he was waiting for his free food, while he was waiting the charity from the charity workers. And guess what? For the phase 4 of the MCO, the regulation number 4, which applies on the 29th of April until the 12th of May, the law actually changed. It actually says that we can now go out with a company. We can actually go get groceries with someone coming along. Next, is her the only case that has happened? Let me talk about the other news that also got me thinking, is there really equality before the law in Malaysia? And I put the news up here. It is a tweet tweeted by the current MB of Terengganu about a visit to the former MB of Terengganu, and from that picture you could see that they were actually sitting very closely and having a nice meal. Now that again doesn't seem like an official duty but more like a recreational visit, and other pictures seems to show that there are quite a lot of people there, and quite clearly there weren't any social distancing being practiced. If it's an important meeting, why can't these people like Nurul Zahid or this MB of Terengganu have those meetings via online conference or video calls? Because even our Prime Minister has video calls with the YDPA. So what I really want to point out is that the laws should apply equally to everyone, and there should not be any different treatment just because somebody is of status or of power. There are also other news that make me even angrier about what is happening, which is the news of this. In this news, we see that Ustaz Ebit Lew, a very famous Ustaz, were actually called to the police station about his charity work. Now, according to him, because of this, he might be stopping his charity work. However, thankfully, the police later clarified that he was not called in because of his charity work, but because of other reasons, and he actually has the permit to continue his charity work. People who want to do charity work and give help to those in need should not be stopped from doing their charity work during this MCO period, provided they follow the necessary SOP, standard operating procedure. In any case, I'm not saying that anybody have breached any law. I'm just saying that the law should be applied equally and nobody should be above the law. Now, one thing that got me slightly hopeful again is this news, which is here. It is the news of the Deputy Health Minister Datuk Dr. Noor Azmi Ghazali and the Perak Executive Council member Razman Zakira being charged in court, and they pleading guilty for breaching the movement control order. This was because they were having meal at a Tafiz on the 18th of April. So well, it's good. It brings a little bit more confidence that it doesn't matter that you are a VIP, the law will still apply to you. The next question that also got me thinking about whether there is equality before the law in Malaysia, it's that sentence that were given to both of these people. Now, of course, they were given a fine of 1,000 ringgit, which I do think, it's reasonable. If it's a first offense and they have done something wrong that can be punished with a fine, they should be given a sentence of a fine. Even though ironically the person that is being punished is the Deputy Minister of Health, and that the regulations were actually gazetted by the Ministry of Health. In other countries, if that has happened, that person may have to resign, but it's Malaysia. However, it is this other news that really got me questioning, Is it really fair? Now, the first one is this. A student was actually jailed 7 days and fined 800 ringgit for leaving home to present a cake to her boyfriend. Now, the second case is this. Now, 18 men were actually jailed and fined for attending a clan funeral during the MCO. So as you can see from these cases, which to me seem less serious because it involves one, it's a young adult first offense trying to give a cake to her boyfriend. She was actually jailed. And the second case is a group of people who just wanted to attend a funeral were also jailed for violating MCO. While you have the Deputy Minister of Health, the person that we expect to enforce the MCO because he is from the health ministry, actually he himself violating that MCO. Like I say, I actually agree that a fine should be given, but these other two cases, the students as well as these people attending the funeral, I think they should be given a fine as well and not being jailed. Now, of course, I acknowledge that under Article 1453 of the Federal Constitution, the Attorney General has the right to prosecute anybody and has the right to choose not to prosecute anybody. It is within his discretion. And I also acknowledge that when it comes to sentencing, it is the discretion of the judge as long it doesn't go beyond what is permitted by the law. However, we must not lose sight of the Article 8 of the Federal Constitution, equality before the law, and more generally the spirit of equality before the law, because it is a cardinal principle of the rule of law. If we do not have equality before the law, then we do not have the rule of law. So Article 8 of the Federal Constitution says this: all persons are equal before the law and entitled to the equal protection of the law. And in the federal court case of Lee Kuan Yew against public prosecutor, the then federal court judge Gopal Sriram said this: the third principle is this: a court, when interpreting the other provisions of our constitution, in particular those appearing in Part 2 thereof, must do so in the light of what has been correctly referred to as the humanizing and all-pervading provisions of Article 8.1. The article reads, all persons are equal before the law and entitled to the equal protection of the law. In Badan Peguam, Malaysia, this court, in the majority judgment of Hashim Yusof Federal Court Judge, also accepted and applied the following statement of the Court of Appeal in Dr. Muhammad Nazir Hashim against Menteri Dalam Negeri Malaysia. When interpreting the other parts of the Constitution, the court must bear in mind all the providing provisions of Article 8.1. The article guarantees fairness of all forms of state action. The effect of Article 8.1 is to ensure that legislative, administrative, and judicial action is objectively fair. It also houses within it the doctrine of proportionality, which is the test to be used when determining whether any form of state action, executive, legislative, or judicial, is arbitrary or excessive, when it is asserted that a fundamental right is alleged to have been infringed. So what this basically says is that the equality before the law concept should apply to all state actions, whether it's executive, legislative, or judicial. And the purpose of this video is not to condemn our judges, not to condemn our police officers. In fact, I think that strict enforcement of the MCO laws by the police is one of the reasons why we see a daily decrease in the numbers of new cases of people tested positive for COVID-19. However, the purpose of this video is purely to remind ourselves of Article 8.1 of the Federal Constitution and that the concept of equality before the law does and should exist in Malaysia. And I urged our police officers to continue courageously enforce these laws against anyone and treat everybody equally, regardless of their wealth, their status, or their connection. With that, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. These kind of videos take a long time to produce, so please do me a favor by smashing the like button and sharing this video to everybody you know. And for those who are new to the channel, I use this channel to talk about the law and teach you how to use the law to protect yourselves. So please make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss the next video from me. And drop me a comment. What do you think? Do you think that this is the final extension? Do you think that we are finally going back to work? I'll see you at the next video.